So we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. It is your host with the most, KDK Capri, and we're back with another episode of the Wealthy and Healthy Podcast. It is Wealth Wednesday, and today we're going to be talking about using AI and automations to build any business. So what I'm going to show you guys today is a few tools that I use myself when it comes to using AI and leveraging AI in my business model. Okay. Oh, let me share my screen. Before we dive in, if y'all on the call right now, tell me where you're calling in from and what's one thing that you want to learn in the future from these classes. Okay, we go live every single Wednesday. We go live on Fridays for live, not for live, for paying members. So paid members, you guys get to get access to all three lives. If you just, not paying or you're just a part of the Skool community, you will get replays for Wealth Wednesday and for Saturday check-in. The Saturday's check-in is going to be pretty special. I got a special guest coming, and we're gonna chop it up. So the first thing is, when it comes to Wealth Wednesdays, right, our goal is to show entrepreneurs how to get one step closer to true wealth, true financial freedom, true financial independence. So everything that we talk about is to give you guys tools, to give you guys knowledge, to give you guys information on how to build your business or how to scale your business. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is AI assistance and automations is going to be the next thing. So how do you build a system that makes money while you sleep? So the biggest thing about automations and the reason why we're talking about AI assistance today, hold on, let me close this window, y'all, my bad. Hear these dogs barking. Um, so the reason why we're going to be talking about automations and systems is because every business has to have a system. I talk about this all the time. When I used to, before I started my business, I used to work at Burger King, and a lot of people aren't going to look at a system or a business like Burger King and think money, right? We're thinking fast, cheap food. Well, when you look at it as an entrepreneur, and if you watch people like Robert Kiyosaki or even the great Myron Golden, you see how they break down these systems in fast food and how the fast food system is $1 million, even $1 billion system that has been able to get cheap work, cheap labor, cheap food, and still make, millions of dollars, right? So when you look at automations, right, the biggest thing is you have to have a system. So if your system doesn't have automations, if your system doesn't have SOPs, if your system doesn't have a foundation, right, which is kind of what we talked about last episode when we talked about funding, right? If it doesn't have a foundation, then you don't know what you're doing. So when I was working at Burger King, I learned a lot of things. I learned that everybody plays a part. I learned that as a team, we all are working to get one order out within, 2 to 3 minutes, right? So there are certain things that every single person in that company or in that business is going to do to make sure that fast food is fast food, right? So me specifically, I was on the kitchen station. There was someone doing burgers. There was someone, up front taking orders, or someone doing drinks, right? So if you've ever seen fast food, you see how this system works. You see every single person is doing one thing. So if you're a business owner and you don't have systems and you don't have automations, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be in your business, right? You're going to be taking the orders, right? You're going to have to run back to the kitchen and make the food. Then you're going to have to run back up and bag the food. And now what happens when you have 15 people in line? What happens when one order is, $40 and at fast food, that could be a lot of food, right? So if we're talking dollar burgers and you end up spending $40, that can be a lot of food, right? So if I'm doing every single thing in my business, which is how a lot of entrepreneurs start out, you put yourself in position to where you're not going to be able to make money as fast as you want to make it, and the money that you do make, you have to work so hard for it. So at some point you're like, this isn't working for me, right? So AI assistants and automations are going to help you, right? Those are just small parts. So this is what we're going to cover today. Why AI assistants, right? You guys might think, oh, I have a VA. I'm gonna show you why you don't really need a VA anymore. It doesn't matter, whatever business you're talking about, right? And then we're gonna talk about automations. So what are automations? What's the engine behind wealth building? And then we're gonna, wrap it up with some questions, some Q&A. All right. So part one, let's talk about AI assistants, right? So your business answering every call even when you can. That's what an AI assistant does. So you can get an AI assistant to answer your phone calls. You can get an AI assistant to run your funnels. You can do it for automations, which I'll show you guys here in a second. But specifically, AI assistants are going to be great for certain businesses. Now, every single business is different, right? So, for example, like a restaurant might need an AI assistant versus someone who is just doing a drop shipping store. You might not need an AI assistant, but not necessarily to answer calls, but you want to have customer service. One of the biggest pain points that every single business has to really, really focus on is their customer service. So if your customers are not getting what they need, they're going to go find it somewhere else. Or if they're not getting it as fast as they want it, for example, like I'll give you a perfect example for construction workers. Most time construction workers or most time small companies, small business owners, when it comes to landscaping, when it comes to lawn mowing, when it comes to, construction, when it comes to HVAC, all those businesses, most times when they're small businesses, the one who's answering the phone calls is usually the business owner or, someone who's very important in the business because they want to be able to answer the call and they want to be able to take certain clients when we're talking about, quoting, et cetera, right? So that certain business is going to need to have someone answering the phone at all times. Okay. A lot of people think, if you get an AI assistant, they're not going to be able to answer the questions. Well, that's where you train your AI assistant to know exactly what you do. So as a business owner, you are a fool to think that you can't be duplicated. And if you don't want to be duplicated in your business, you're looking at business the wrong way. Don't be so emotional about it, right? So if I'm a business owner, I want to be duplicated. I want to be able to say, okay, I want to have somebody that's here running my business when I'm not all the time is not going to be a manager, right? Or do you want to pay, 75,000 to a top tier manager, or do you want to pay, $400 a month for an AI assistant? Okay. So what is an AI assistant, right? Think of it as an employee who never sleeps, never takes a lunch break, never misses a call at some point in your career, especially in today's age, you have to get familiar with AI systems. Okay, because every business is different, but the system that is built for your business is going to be ran by AI. I don't care if you hire a company, I don't care if you hire someone to do social media, someone to do your books. They are using some type of software, they're using some type of artificial intelligence. Okay, it's just point blank, especially if you're in the finance industry, if you're in, an accounting industry, if you're in, the corporate industry, like if you're doing corporate work, you're sitting at a desk every day, most times you're using software. Okay, so software based assistants, they talk to your customers on the phone. You're going to train an AI assistant to know exactly what you know. Usually, you can just, if you have a website, paste it into your AI. It is going to create a AI bot. It's going to sound natural. It's going to understand what is being asked, and it's going to take action automatically. So what it can do is a few things that it can do is it can answer your calls 24/7, right? So for example, like if you have a dental office, right? Your dental office might need a 24/7 AI assistant. If you're very busy or you want to be able to book calls afterwards or you don't want to have to send people to your website, right? Answering calls could be very very lucrative for you in the end cuz every call that you miss is money miss, right? Or they go to the next competitor. Another thing is, for example, if you do like plumbing, right? Or if you do like roofing, someone has a leak at 2 o'clock in the morning, they want to be able to call and they're not going to be able to answer. You're not going to be able to answer at 2 o'clock in the morning, obviously, right? So, or you don't want to be taking calls at 2 in the morning saying, hey, I have a leak. So your AI assistant can do that for you. Booking appointments, right? Answering questions. So hours, pricing, those quick questions. Hey, when do you guys close? When do you guys open? Those things that don't need to be handled by a human, your AI assistant can handle, and it can capture leads. Don't sleep on this, y'all. An AI assistant is going to not only answer your calls, book your appointments, but it can help you capture leads. Sometimes people just want to get in and they want to get out. Sometimes people have been looking at you 4 or 5 6 times and they've been looking at your company. They know that you're who they want to go with. They just need some quick information. You don't answer the call, they're going to the next best thing. Okay. We live in a society where people don't want to commit. So the faster that you can capture the lead, the faster that you can nurture the lead, the faster that you can talk your talk on a sales call, a cold call, the faster you can get that money, right? It's all about catching the money first, because we always talk about these saturated businesses. We talk about businesses not being able to make as much money, but what we have to understand is whoever gets to the lead first is who gets the money. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you why every business needs one. Because 1 in 3 calls go unanswered. Okay. Every unanswered call is money walking out the door. 85% of missed callers never leave a voicemail, they just call the next business. So think about how much money you're missing. So, for example, we just did an AI assistant for a barber shop. His barber services, for on average are 25 a cut, little lineup, whatever, right? So if he's missing 1 to 3 calls every single day for $25, in 5 days, let's say he does 5 business days, Monday through Friday, he's closed on the weekends. So if he is missing $25 every single business day after a week, that's how much, right? Somebody tell me how much that is. Somebody tell me how much that is, right? So if I have a barber shop, right, and I am missing 1 call a day, low end, and my average price on every single customer coming in is about 25. I work 5 days a week, so what's 5 times 25, right? What's 5 times 25? Let me make sure everybody in the call. What's 5 times 25, y'all? Thank you. It is going to be $125. So if I'm losing $125 every week, low end, I could be losing up to almost $500 every single month. So a business missing, so like, and that's just a barbershop, right? Imagine you being like a roofer, and your average pricing to even do a quote or even to come out and look at things could be $100. If you're losing one of those a day, right, do the math, right? So you're leaving so much money on the table when you're not able to answer phone calls. So let's talk about who needs it the most, right? This is where it hits the hardest, right? So these businesses are going to need. So if you have one of these businesses, you are going to be very, very high risk for losing so much money. You need an AI assistant, all right? Any business that lives or dies by the phone is a candidate, right? These get hit the hardest. So restaurants are a big one. I'm a chef. I work in restaurants. I know how much the phone rings. I know how much people, like if you're swamped, if you're busy, the server has to do 17 different things at once. Nobody has time to answer the phone, right? So you can miss 1 to 3 calls during a rush. Hosts are seating, not answering. There's no time to answer the phone sometimes, especially for these big businesses who, you got rush hour bars, right? Downtown restaurants to where, there's literally no time to answer the phone. Okay. So that's extremely important. Then we got law firms. Law firms are very, very, very hard to get a hold of. Okay. Most times you get an email that you can contact a law firm from. You get a AI assistant, you get the voicemail. 48% of law firms are unreachable by phone. First to answer usually wins the client. So if I'm calling local law firms and I call 6 different law firms, and then the seventh law firm that I call picks up, it doesn't matter the first person I was trying to get to, because the first person who answers the phone and has a second to speak with me is who I'm most likely going to get my money to. HVAC and plumbing, we just talked about this one. So techs can't answer mid job, right? So if you're a one-man army, if you do HVAC and you do plumbing, and you have no time to answer the phone, this is really, really important for you to start looking into, because as a business owner, think about how much money you're leaving on the table. Think about how much calls you have to, how many calls you have to return, how many different nights and weekends that you're, getting calls to your personal phone, right? You get an AI assistant, is going to be able, excuse me, if you get an AI assistant, you're going to be able to have it come directly to your phone, but people aren't going to have your personal phone number, right? You don't want to be giving people your personal phone number, or, 10 times out of 10, really, like what I've seen is most times you give somebody your business card, they lose it the next day. Okay. That's why everybody's doing the blink and, things like that, where they're doing mobile business cards, so where I can just literally hand you my phone, you put your phone number in, we're good, right? Property management. It's a big one, y'all. Like, this is a really sore point. Like if you're an apartment manager, if you own apartment buildings, if you have Airbnbs, you don't just want to send everybody to your website. Most people are going to scroll and they want fast answers, right? Most times when you have a leak in in an apartment building at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? Or even at 6, 7 p.m. at night, most times those people in the office or whoever is there has went home. So over half of the calls go unanswered. Tours, rent, maintenance, all day things. Property management is going to need AI assistance, right? Then dental offices. We touch on this a little bit. 80% of missed calls are new patient bookings walking to a competitor. So think about this. 8 out of 10 times you miss a call, that's going to be a new patient. For dental offices, most time people are calling to see like, hey, when can I get an appointment? Hey, do you guys accept this? Hey, how much is this? Right? So dental offices are very, 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 very hot when it comes to in being in need of an AI assistance because you get in these situations where you're a business owner, you got two people at the desk, and there's so many different people in your area, right? Next one is real estate. So a lot of people think, real estate, why real estate? Showings mean the phone is off and the lead goes to the next agent. So whether you are a real estate agent, whether you own real estate, whether you do fix and flips, doesn't matter what you do. You need to have an AI assistant because a lot of the times it's not really phones, is you're not really working with phones in real estate, right? You find people, you send an email, you call, you do the walking up to the door thing. You can have so many different ways to reach people. So an AI assistant would just be another way that you can, as a real estate agent or as someone who owns real estate, someone who invests in real estate, this is going to be another way for you to push the line for your business and be able to capture every single lead. Okay. So let's talk about the top three places to get an AI assistant. Depending on your budget and comfort with tech, here's where to start, right? So you can get done for you providers. Right now uh, we're rolling out our app, so we are providing AI assistants. But the big thing about an AI assistant is it's not just setting it up and having it answer calls, right? Like we can set you up an AI assistant, have it, answer calls, but do you have workflows? Do you have follow-ups? Do you have email addresses, right? So there's so many different ways that an AI assistant can, help your business out, right? To where you can take a step back from the tech. So even like for example, like we just did not even the barbershop dude, we just did another guy who had an HVAC company. Like I said, he's out there doing jobs every single day. He likes to work with his hands. He really does not want to get in the computer and set up an AI system for himself. Right? So a provider sets it up, trains it on your business, manages it for you. So you get companies like myself who will set up the AI assistant, who will run it, who will make sure all your calls are being answered, make sure everything is moving smoothly, right? And depending on your budget, you can get 4 or 5 different AI assistants, right? You might have one for social media. There's so many different things that you can do. Then you can get self-serve AI builders. So one of them is going to be VoiceFlow, right? VoiceFlow.com. SynthFlow is a good one. Bland AI. These are best for, people who are hands-on. They want to do tech, right? Say you've built yourself a website. Say you do your own funnels, but you're on a tight budget, right? Say you're just like, okay, I just need to be able to get in a subscription to where I can set up all my workflows, all my stuff, and I could just let it run for me, right? Then you can get an all-in-one CRM. So if anybody doesn't know what a CRM is, you need to have a CRM, okay? Like the thing about CRMs is 2 seconds. So basic, my bad, y'all. So basically, what you have to understand with CRMs is they are basically going to be your customer relationship management, right? So with a CRM, the big thing that you want to have as a business owner is you want to have an email list, you want to have customer service, and you don't just want to be doing everything manually. So if you have a flow of how your customers come in, so for example, I'll break down the credit repair business, right? So we get we get clients based on, say, an ad, right, or a funnel, right? So they get into the funnel, they opt in, say they get a freebie, right? So you go to a funnel, it says, one of our funnels says get your free 60 to 90-day game plan on how to, fix your credit in no time, right? Or fix your credit without hiring a company, or draining your bank account, that type of thing. They get their freebie. Now they are put into a workflow, which is through my CRM. They're put into a workflow that I then can use to set up a sequence of sending them emails, of sending them text messages. So that way I'm nurturing every single lead, right? So a CRM is basically going to be an all-in-one, right? It's a all-in-one, basically a system, right? This is why we're talking about systems today, to where you can basically manage all of your customers. So in credit repair, that's extremely important. So if I have 100 clients, we're sending out 10 letters for this one, 5 letters for this one, 20 for this one, and I sent this one out on the 3rd, but this one was sent out on the 17th, this one was sent out on the 8th. There's so much different data there. I can't keep that in a notebook, or I can't, just have that manually in a file cabinet, right? So I'm going to use a CRM. I'm going to use a, marketing platform. So Go High Level is a big one. They actually have AI employees. Okay. I'm gonna actually show you guys Go High Level real quick. If you guys haven't seen Go High Level, it really works for any business. Let's see. So you get a 14-day trial. Like, you can't lose with Go High Level. Okay. We're actually rolling out the app, so we have it built in CRM. I wish I didn't cancel my account so that, y'all, I'm telling you, with this new app, everything is already in there. So I'm like canceling everything because, you live and you learn. But basically, so you can get the CRM and pipeline management, unlimited sales funnels. So if you guys have sales, click funnels, or if you guys have System.io, if you guys have HubSpot, MailChimp, all this stuff is going to be in Go High Level. So you guys are like using, I was doing it too. Like, I was using System.io for my funnel. I was using MailChimp for my mail. I was using WordPress and other things for my website. And then I had like my social media. So all of your guys' stuff is in 16 different places. Why not just get it all in one? Right. So that's huge when it comes to CRMs and AI assistants. So you can get your AI assistant, you can get your marketing, you can get your email workflows and sequences for your customers, whether they're getting a freebie or whether they just bought a product from you and you want to upsell them. Right. So every little thing that you do in your CRM is based on what your employee want, I mean, what your clients want, and you build an employee based off of how would you run your business. So like I said, you want to duplicate yourself, right? So you can duplicate yourself 70 different times with AI employees and run your business without having to hire a person. Now, if you want to hire a person, and don't get me wrong, like, this is not going to, like, you shouldn't just fire all of your employees and then just go high level, right? Because somebody still has to manage that. But if you are someone who's like, okay, I need a CRM. You work with AI, you need automation, say you do digital products, say you do coaching offers, you have funnels. This is going to be something that you use. If you're in credit repair, you need a CRM. If you do funding, you need a CRM. If you do like affiliate marketing, you're going to need a CRM, right? If you do anything that has to do with Excel sheets, anything that has to do with Word, PowerPoint, Docs, you want to have somewhere where everything is in one platform, basically, right? So you can use everything in one website. So that brings me to automations, right? So AI assistants are just the small part, right? AI assistants are what you can use to where you can replace getting that $5 VA, right? Because you can do so much more with these AI assistants and just have your VA run the AI assistant for less than what you need to do, or for less than what you're paying them. And now they're doing more. They're helping, they're helping you bring in more income, because now you're breaking everything up and you're having one AI employee work on marketing, you're having one AI employee working on, sorting everything and getting automations and follow-up emails and text messages, SMS, right? We're collecting emails, we're sending out forms, we're, creating flyers. There's so many different things that you can do, but you have to have a system. So that brings me to talk about automation. This is an engine, right? This is the engine that goes into your vehicle. If you do not have automations, your business is not going to stay afloat. Okay, because like I said, you're going to be the one running to the door and opening the door and saying, "Hey, where can I sit you?" Right? You seat them. Now you have to take their order. Now you got to go back and take and make the order. Now you got to come back and bring them the order. How many times do you think you're going to be able to do that until someone gets angry or the people in line walk away or you mess up an order? Now you have to wait, make 17 people wait. And that's just with restaurants, right? Think about how much money you would lose if it was HVAC, plumbing, if you're doing roofing, if you're doing construction, right? So think about how much money you're really leaving on the table in these situations. So what is an automation? So basically it's technology doing repetitive tasks automatically so a human doesn't have to do them manually every single time. So a lot of you guys think AI is going to take your job. If AI is going to take your job, it should have never been a job that you were building a future at anyway. That's like just I'm gonna keep it real. Like if you are talking about, fast food job or, at McDonald's now they got don't take my word for it because I don't eat McDonald's. But at McDonald's now they got the drinks, like the drinks are being poured out by a machine. So you don't even have to make the drinks anymore. All you gotta do is put the lid on it. Um, so if those are the type of tasks that we're talking about, you shouldn't have the job anyway, right? So if you think that AI is going to take your job, I would suggest you go get another job anyway. So if you're doing these repetitive tasks every single day, like book work, bookkeeping, there's so many different reasons why AI can help you and take a lot of pressure off of your workload. So if you do the same task more than twice a week, it can probably be automated. That's just point blank. So if you're doing follow-up emails, if you're literally going in there, if you have to send 50 follow-up emails, do you really want to do that manually? No. If you're doing cold calling and you're doing appointment reminders, you know how much time that takes to really say, oh my God, I gotta text Kelly and remind her about, you can't even, like, it's not possible if you're dealing with high volume. Now, when you're just starting, it can work. But what I will tell everybody is before you get into business and you understand that you want to create a successful business, start early, start at the beginning. So you should have automations to where whether you have one client or whether you have 100 clients to where you don't have to worry about it and it's always going to be automated. So when I started in credit repair, I was doing everything manually. I had to write everything down in this black book, every return seat, everything, every certified mail, every return seat that they would get back or that a client would get back, I would have to file that. Right. So now when I'm going in to do round two, I'm looking through 70 different things, it just didn't work, right? So I had to get automations, I had to get systems, I had to get things that would work for my specific business model, right? Lead routing. So new inquiries land on the right inbox or spreadsheet instantly. So if you have like a freebie, right? Like we were just talking about, you have a funnel, you have a freebie. When somebody clicks that button and they say download your freebie right now, they should be getting it automatically. When someone signs up for your email list, they should be getting an email automatically. Invoicing and payments. So if you have a business to where you're doing tracked you're doing tracked bills. So say you have a payment plan, right? Say you have something to where somebody's paying $99 a month. You don't want to have to be chasing them down like, hey, your invoice is due today, right? So always make sure you have automations put in place. So why automations build wealth? Obviously, you're saving time. Wealth isn't just about money, right? We're not talking about making as much money. It's time to reinvest that back into your growth. So what true wealth means is knowing where to put your money and how to make it work for you. So you only have 24 hours in a day. Every hour spent on those repetitive tasks that we just talked about is an hour you can't spend on growing your business or serving high value clients. So every single day, if you are working and you're doing everything by yourself, and imagine you're doing this for a client who's paying $50, but you're not making enough money. You need clients who are willing to pay you $500, right? You're never going to be able to make it to that next level if you're stuck in the automation stage. Okay. Automation scales without more hours. We can have a system that allows, that follows up with 5 leads before you, like, okay, let me rewind, right? So if you have your system, right, if your system works the way it's supposed to work, you can have 5 leads that you had to call manually, that you had to close. You had to go do the research and looking up this business, trying to find their pain points. Automations can do hundreds in the same amount of time that you did 5, right? So your time input doesn't change. So a system that follows up with 5 leads works exactly the same with 500. So if you have 500 clients versus your five versus, if you got 500 clients now, it's going to work the same way versus when you have 5,000 clients, right? So if you have 5,000 clients now, it's going to work the same when you have 10,000 clients, right? Because automations are working at like the speed of automations and the speed of AI is something that we can't even fathom, right? So if you look at the way that automations and AI are working in the business world, we as entrepreneurs have a responsibility not only to be educated on this, but to understand how to leverage it. Because if you are a business owner that is still, doing, no PS systems, you might be only taking cash. You might be saying, oh, we're only taking Cash App. You don't have a business bank account. You don't have anybody doing your books. You don't have anything that is showing that you have automations or that you're not just running around trying to find the next sale, right? Because that's not how businesses operate. You let the money come to you, right? So if I'm a business, especially like I always go back to restaurants because I'm a chef, so I know how restaurants work. So if I'm a restaurant, I'm setting up shop and I have a system that works to where whenever we get a burger, my chef knows, okay, you put the burger down first. You don't put the fries down first because the fries are going to get cold. You don't put the bun down because the bun's going to get cold. So once you have a system that works, second that order comes in, everybody knows what to do. And the order gets out and people get their food and it's hot and fresh and they want to tip. And then they come back for the next time, or they come back the next time and they bring their kids, or they send somebody there the next time. So that's why automations help you scale and help you really build wealth and help you buy some time back, basically. And then it compounds. Like every automated task keeps saving you time and capturing revenue every single day forever. So if you are like me and you sell digital products, you want to have automations because if you sell digital products, you can have a good day to where you sell 500 ebooks. It's going to run the same versus when you sold 5 ebooks. Okay, because it compounds and it just keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, and you keep getting money. Okay. So what you can do to automate this, what can you automate right now? Start with one. You don't need to automate everything at once, right? So for most businesses, I would say we're going to start here, right? I would say with the follow-up sequences, always nurture a lead. I always tell people no more one client stands. All right, we're not just getting the client and then they never see you again. You already ready to go. You got the money and now you run. No, we're trying to, because if you're growing as a business and your goal is to build as a business, you're always going to have a ladder to where business owners can keep coming to you. So for example, in credit repair, you might start with the low end, which is the back end, which is the credit repair. Right? Credit repair, people don't just go get their credit repaired just to fix their credit, right? They go get their credit repair because they want to go get a house. They want to go get funding for their business. So you might start with the low end on the credit repair. You might add in, okay, now we're going to get you funded. Then you might add in, okay, you want to get funded. Do you still need an LLC? Okay, we got you on your LLC. Then we're going to add, oh, do you need an AI assistant for that LLC? It's going to help you. Now, so there's so many stacks that you can use to follow up and nurture a lead. Scheduling is another huge one, right? So if you have someone cold calling, if you have, leads coming in from forms or from funnels, everything like that, you have to have scheduling automated because you don't have time. Like, say somebody books an appointment and you're, somewhere. You say you're at work, right? Say you got a job and somebody books an appointment and they're trying to get in with you 15 minutes from when they booked the appointment, but you're like, damn, I'm at work. I can't take that call. You have to have things automated and you have to have things set so that you're not going back and forth with your calendar or with a potential client because clients don't want to wait. If you text them back 2 hours later, you lost that lead already. Okay. Lead capturing, again, if you text that, if somebody fills out a form or if somebody gets a freebie, right, an AI assistant is going to collect every inquiry automatically and send them exactly what they need. So if I get a freebie, if I go to Coach K's website and I find one of her ebooks and I click on it and I purchase it, you better believe that that ebook better be in my email within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, because if not, then now I'm putting myself in a position where I'm like, do I even trust this person? And did I even get what I paid for? Right? Client onboarding. So new clients get a checklist and welcome flow automatically. So if you sign a client, like this is big, especially in credit repair, if you want a credit repair business. Second, a client gets signed up with us, they get paperwork. They get if they or purchased a course or ebooks, they get those automatically. They get next steps. They get checklists on things that they have to do right away, to where the second that they pay, we're already ready to go. We're already ready to start rolling, right? Or you onboard them, you get them sent from the scheduling, and you onboard them and you do that on a call, right? Invoicing is the same thing. Payments go out and get tracked through manual entry. So if you are tired of going through your QuickBooks and having to write every single thing down and keeping all your receipts and having to do things manually, invoicing automations are going to help your business tremendously. And it's not going to be such a huge headache for your tax preparer, okay? And reporting, your pipeline and numbers update themselves in a live sheet. So you want to know how your business is performing, period. Right? So if you made $5,000 last month, you want to know where that money went, how it came in, what was spent on what. So you can automate your reports and you can see what progress you're making, where you need to, put a little bit more pressure on. You can automate this process. There's so many different things that you can automate when it comes to a business. This is how people truly build wealth. So like I said, we can go back to Burger King. We can see how their system works, right? If you've ever been in the kitchen, you know that one person is doing prep, because if you don't have prep food, but when that person's doing prep, they don't have time to set up the kitchen in the morning, right? They don't have time to close the kitchen. They don't have time to do dishes, right? But if you've ever been in the kitchen, most times you do prep during the day, so now you can do dishes at night. So there's so many different systems that work for people to get money, right? So let's talk about three places to build automation. Zapier. Zapier is really great. I still use Zapier because I connect it through when I was using Go High Level, I would connect it through Zapier. And you can use these. You don't have to be technical. When I first started, I didn't know a lot about AI. I didn't know a lot about systems. So it can connect apps together. So, oops, my bad, y'all. Why did I do that? Okay, so Zapier, you can basically connect all of your apps together. Okay, so Zapier is a great way to build automations. You can connect, say you're using MailChimp, like I said, you can either go get an all-in-one CRM, or you can use Zapier and MailChimp. But Zapier is going to be great because you can connect all of your subscriptions to one and kind of just have this system, right? Or this ladder. Make. So Make is good too. It's a visual drag and drop builder for more complex multi-step workflows. So if you are familiar with workflows, you're familiar with how funnels work, Make is going to be very great for you because it's visual. You just say you have your website, you drop it here. Say you have this that needs to go when somebody leaves something in their cart, right? That's an automation. So every day you guys are getting these emails that are saying, hey, you left this in your cart. Hey, did you still want to purchase? Sometimes somebody might send you an article from their blog or from their newsletter, right? And then you got Go High Level. We just talked about this. It's an all-in-one CRM, calendar, email, and text automation, and pipeline system in a single platform. So you can get everything in Go High Level. Okay. Let's talk about putting it all together, right? So AI system plus automation equals a business that runs without you glued to it. So do you want to work in your business or do you want to work on your business? As an entrepreneur or as the founder or the visionary of your business, you want to be the visionary. You want to be able to envision things. You want to be able to put the vision in fruition, right? So if I'm a business owner, I'm paying someone to run my business, right? As a business owner, you're not going and running, you're going to have a manager. You're not going to be in the shop every single day, right? And the manager is paid to manage time. So what they're going to do is they're going to look at, okay, what's the times looking like? Is everybody doing their job? Are the orders getting out at the right time? Is there too many people here versus how much money we're making, right? If you've ever worked in fast food, you know about labor. So there can be 6, 7 people on the clock, but you're not making enough money. So now somebody has to go home early. So as a business owner, you want to get paid to put the vision into motion. You want to have that motion. And then you go hire a manager because they're hired to manage the time. So it's if time is money in this type of situation, right? Who's managing the time? Because whoever's managing the time is managing the money. And as a manager, your job is to manage the money and everything that makes it, everything that's around it. Then you get to the employee. What is the employee paid to do? Can anybody guess what the employee is paid to do? right? Because as a business owner, you're paid to move the vision, you're paid to push the vision. As a manager, you're paid to manage the time, right? And as an employee, you're paid to manage tasks. So you do the small things, you do the work, you get on your hands and knees for $16 an hour, right? But it doesn't matter whether McDonald's makes $1 million or whether they make $5. You still get paid $16 an hour. It doesn't matter whether you got on your hands and knees and scrubbed the floor versus the person who, you look at every day like, man, they don't be doing nothing. They still make $16 an hour. It's the same amount as you. So assistance plus automations is a business that runs without you being glued to it. So, for example, a call comes in, the AI assistant is going to answer. It automatically is, whether they want to book, whether they want questions. So, say they want to book, right? They book and it tags it. So, you're going to have a tag that's going to tag this person or this business, whatever that looks like, as someone who just booked an appointment. Then it's going to follow up and it runs itself. So, you might have a seven email sequence, right? To where the first email is, hey, you booked your appointment. Your appointment is a week from now. A day later, you're going to say, hey, you booked your appointment. Did you want to add something on? Like, say we're talking about a dental office. Did you want to add teeth cleaning onto your cavity search or whatever that looks like, right? Then you want to say the next day, the third day, right? So first day, you booked your appointment. Second day, hey, do you want to add this? Third day is saying, hey, you're 4 days away from your appointment. Fourth day is going to get real nice, right? Real nice. We're going to start selling stuff. Fourth day, we're going to say, hey, would you like to sign up and put your number in and sign up for rewards and sign up for coupons? They're going to put their number in. Guess what? Now you got their email, their number, and you have an appointment booked with them. You're nurturing your client. You're nurturing your lead, right? Then on the fifth day, you're going to say, hey, it's 2 days before. If you need to reschedule, let us know. We are glad to see you. Sixth day, you're going to say, hey, your appointment is tomorrow at 6 a.m. Let us know if you're coming. Seventh day, you're going to say, hey, you're coming into your appointment today. We're happy to see you. Let us know if you need anything on the meantime. Then they come in for their appointment. You get paid. Then when they leave, you might set them up as you might put another tag on it. You might say, okay, this is a paid customer. Now they have another sequence saying the day after they leave, how was your visit? The day after that, you're saying, hey, let us know when you want to come in. We'll give you a $20 coupon. And then they come in again. So you're nurturing your leads and you're working on your business because this gives you more time to say, okay, I don't have to handle doing anything. All I have to do is let my business run itself. Then once the business runs itself, I collect the money and I reinvest it back into the business. So this is how you build wealth with AI assistants and automations, just point blank, right? This is the same system, whether it's your business or a business you're selling to. This is a solution, right? So I'm gonna give y'all some action steps for this week, right? If you guys enjoyed this call, please put some in the chat. So pick one task to automate, right? Choose one that's the most repetitive. For me, when I first started, it was actually getting people's credit reports and everything organized. So I would have, all of the credit reports over here and then all the names over here. When I honestly wanted to just put every single client into a different folder. So I had to automate that and make it easier for me. Sign up for one free tool. You can use Zapier. Jotform is another great one. I still use Jotform. No cost, no risk. Just get familiar with the interface. Get familiar with how these things work. A lot of you guys use ManyChat, right? To where you can, if you get into Facebook, you can text a business. They're going to text you right back. You can have a conversation. Audit your missed calls. See how many missed calls you are really having. Track how many calls you miss and what they're about. Because if you're getting all these missed calls and you're missing money, you want to know what you're doing wrong. So maybe you're having too many missed calls and people are trying to ask questions. Now okay, my address isn't even on my website or the phone number isn't even on my website, right? So somebody might call and say, hey, what time are you guys open? Oh shoot, let me go make sure my hours are right on my business, right? List your top three must automate tasks. So write down what you tackle next week if this goes well, right? So list your top three, right? Tell me what your top three are, and we're gonna go for a little Q&A. As always, just drop your questions in the comments. I was pushing for 30 minutes, but we went a little bit over, which is okay. Let's see. So we got Jenny from YouTube. Jenny, you can hit me up. I know we just talked earlier. Seems like nobody got no questions. Okay, okay, okay. That's okay. Yeah, so with that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. Um, For those who have paid, this will be posted tonight, but this is Wealth Wednesday, so it will also be on YouTube. Okay. It'll be posted here in a minute once I get everything edited and put my little intro in there for Wealth Wednesday. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, any concerns, we're offering these AI assistants. If you guys have questions about systems, automations, we help you with those workflows. So if you want to get in there and you want to have that sequence like we just talked about, someone answers or someone calls, your AI assistant answers the phone, you get them booked, you put them through a sequence, right? Every business is different, right? So we can definitely help you if you need help with that. Another thing that we have coming up, we have Saturday check-in. We got a lot of stuff coming up. If you guys are in Colorado Springs, go check the page, right? Because we're doing the Standing on Business speaking tour. We're still looking for some sponsors. We have our speakers locked in, and it's going to be a great event, y'all. So please stay tuned. Please keep supporting. On personal notes, we have on some music tips, right? Not necessarily personal, but we have some back to school bashes coming. I'm going to be performing this Saturday in Pueblo, Colorado for the back to school bash. It's going to be hosted by Rich B. And then on August 28th, I'm doing an 80s and 90s themed performance here in Colorado Springs. So y'all, man, come pull up, right? See what we doing. We're actually, putting feet to payment, get some things moving in the city, right? So with that being said, it's your host with the most, KDK Capri, the mentor and the mentee. This was Wealth Wednesday. We talked about AI automations and how to leverage that in your business and really, really, truly make some bread, right? So next week, we're going to be coming back with that heat. You already know I might have a guest on for Wealth Wednesday next week. But until then, in between time, y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what y'all felt about this, and I'm going to see y'all in the next one.